Mic check, 1, 2. All right, it works.
I'm having a hard time logging in. Like my password's not working at all.
Try another computer or
I did. I just tried that one, but I will always.
doesn't like you.
I know.
See if you can go. Well, after I go, this is what I'm gonna do. You know, at the break and stuff. Go try to find IT, but you know I record everything.
Okay.
So that you won't miss.
Okay.
Because I don't want you to miss the first part. Okay, is it just me or is it dark in here? Dark in here. Anyone got tape? That's all right. BIO. Oh, this is. Watch this. I'll put something on the door so. So nobody's in 213 hanging out? Even though I fixed everything. Let me just check. Let's check. This is good. Okay. Good morning, everyone. This is Dr. Garais. Again, like I stated, I've had some of you before, so welcome. And others, you're new. This is BIO104, Anatomy and Physiology 2. Did everyone sign in the sign-in sheet? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Good. That doesn't account for at least for 10 people. All right, good. So what are we going to do? If you look in the board, of course, this is, we're going to go over the syllabus. Then, of course, those who had before, introductions, because not all of you probably know each other. And also, you know my memory. And then we're going to have a lecture proper. Now, we're also going to have a pretest. Good morning, welcome. We're also going to have a pretest. Don't sweat it. It's just warm you up to see what you know, what you don't know. And especially those of you who have had me before, it's an opportunity to practice your multiple choice examination skill sets, if you recall those. So let's start off with introductions. So let's go around the room. Your name, what program you're in, and why in heaven's name did you choose healthcare? Madam.
My name is Vicente, and I'm in medical assisting.
Okay.
And I really like the helping people and the medical part of it.
Did you ever, is this your first foray into healthcare?
Uh,
Is this the first time you like had a healthcare job, or did you do something else before medical assisting?
no, this is, I've never had a job.
All right,
so.
cool. So welcome. I also was a medical assistant at one time in my career. He goes, now, I'm gonna ask the corollary question that those of you who had me before. Are all patients nice to us?
No,
No. How about the doctors and nurses? Are they nice people? Are they nice to be around, especially if they didn't have their coffee?
no.
No. Then I'm gonna ask the same question again. Why in heaven's name would you want to come in on this? Because there's a lot of nicer, less stressful places in this world to work. Why in heaven's name medical? Because are you going to go keep your answer? You want to help people? You want to help these people? If your answer is still, of course, yes, then what? You're in the right place, right? So welcome. Madam, familiar
Hi,
face.
I'm Navisha. I'm in surgical technology.
Okay.
Is
So-
that all?
So remind me, Ms. Covington, why in heaven's name did you choose surgical of all things?
So I chose Surg Tech to challenge myself a bit, and grow as an individual.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's a good answer. Madam?
I'm Teresa. I am in the dental assisting program.
Okay.
And I chose dental assisting pretty much for the same reason. I like to help people, and the dentist is a scary place. So I thought I could be very useful in that field.
This is very ugly. Those are, we're gonna do anatomy, physiology. Those of you who are gonna go into pharmacology and microbiology, this is a lot worse than over here. This is far worse and causes far more trouble than anything that comes out of this hole. This hole right here, trouble. So we need people who deal with trouble. Madam? Okay.
I chose this career because this, with my own personal, I've grown up with a dentist, I've grown up with interest in.
Well, why more dental than medical?
Because I just related it with myself.
Mhm.
I didn't have many medical issues.
Okay.
Not saying I have many dental issues, but it's like more.
So, because welcome. When you guys are hearing everybody's stories, there's certain tropes, there's certain themes, and that's one of the themes, right? Because I've had dental stuff. I had family who had dental stuff, and that's why it goes. Either one or two things you saw. Did you see cool things? That's why you want to be there, or you had a bad experience and go, you know what? I can do better than these clowns.
I would say both.
Both. So, welcome. And then you get to do a little bit of both. Madam?
My name
Familiar face?
is Ashley, and I'm in the medical assisting program. And I chose it because there's not really anyone in the medical field in my family besides my aunt. So I decided to follow her steps.
And you've heard my story, right? My mother was the first doctor in our family, the first medical personnel in our family. She graduated in 1968. Before 1968, anybody in the Caledonia and Garais family were either one of three things: a farmer, a soldier, or pregnant. She changed all of it. Now the entire Celadonian family, they're all medical, almost all of them, right? The Garais side, we're not too great. There's still a lot of military personnel there. Madam?
Good morning, my name is Hazel, and I'm in medical assistant. So my story is like Ashley's, but my cousin, she couldn't finish. So I decided I'm gonna finish for her. This will be the first one, yeah.
Do something for what you want to do.
This is what I want to
You
do.
sure?
Yeah.
Because that's also another trope. That's also another theme, right? How many people had and that's my mother's theme. My mother wanted to be an architect. But my grandfather, for whatever reason, goes, nah, you're going to medical school. She's like, what? He goes, yeah, you're going. But I don't know anything about medical, and also I don't like people. And she goes, that's okay, you'll get over it. But then it's amazing what you get used to, right? Sir, I know you. What's going on, sir?
My name is Nicholas, and I'm in the Surge Tech program. My mom was a nurse, and I like helping other people. So I know nursing wasn't for me, and I feel like
But surge tech was? That's like saying, oh, I don't like this part of the boat. Let me get in this part of the boat.
and
It's all gonna sink. We're all gonna die in the water, sir.
and I figure in Surge Tech, no 2 days are gonna be the same. So I don't like
Okay,
it.
it's kind of true. It does. That's kind of true for nursing and anything, but you'll see. You'll want to go. Morning, welcome, welcome. Madam,
My name is Emily, and I'm in the surgical tech program, and I chose it because right everywhere has a long history of hospital, like, more than. And because my siblings started
it's another thing you're gonna hear. A lot of you, right? Who is the person that's going to tell you no, that's going to shut you down first? The people closest to you. When I went into medical school, who was the first two people to say I couldn't hack it? Who said, maybe this is not for you. I think you should quit. My mother and my fiance. Not even 6 weeks in, I was failing everything. I was running out of money. Oh yeah, 6 weeks in, running out of money, right? Morning, welcome, welcome. Right? And they were the first people. Now, again, it's part of the theme of why we're doing this exercise. Remember the things that the why you are here. Every day you don't want to do something, which is every day, isn't it? Right? Yes, sir. I don't have one. Okay. Okay, this is right off my head. I'll get you. All right, after we go through everybody, kindly sign in. Is there a Miss Destiny here? No, okay. Madam, you came in late. Ooh, shame on you. Right? What program and why in heaven's name did you want to do this?
I'm in the medical assisting program,
Okay. Your name?
Maryland, Coverum.
Okay.
And I wanted to do this because I worked in nursing homes, but
Ooh.
not as nursing, but as something else.
CNA, did you do CNA work?
And I saw that nursing was very interesting.
That's another theme, right? One of my best nurses came to this country, barely spoke any English, got into housekeeping at the hospital because this is the Bronx, and if you don't speak Spanish, you might as well not live in the Bronx. Well, she came into my program. I had an LPN program, didn't know a lick of English. Instead of kicking her out, what did we do? Taught her English. Then she finished LPN program. Then years later, right, totally forgot about her. Comes walking in my room, and now I wasn't a teacher, I was the dean. Come in, her son had this big box of, you know those marble books that you get in the dollar store? A huge box. She took every medical terminology word and wrote it 10 times each in both Spanish and English, all the way up to her RN program. And then she goes, Dr. Garais, this is what I wanted to say, thank you. You showed me. And at the time, I wanted to go back to corporate and wanted to make more money. And then I said, I guess I'm staying here for a little while. Thank you, right? Because I can tell you right now, everyone, you might think there's a hierarchy in a hospital, but how many times is housekeeping whispering by you, Dr. Garais, he puts his pills inside the pillow. And I'm like, excuse me? Nurses didn't pick it up, doctors didn't pick it up. But the lady who's picking up the garbage kept on seeing what? My patient doing foolishness. Right? I was wondering, like, oh my good doctor, why is she not getting better? Because she didn't want to get better. Right? And who did it? And remember, right? You might think there's a hierarchy. Since I teach nurses, That's the whole thing that goes, aren't doctors better than nurses? Aren't nurses better than doctors? You take any one part of anything, right? How's this? Your fingers, which one's your favorite? I took them because I ripped one of them off, you're gonna miss them. And you're gonna need all of them, don't you? It's the same thing with your team in the hospital. Who is the most, like, remember when they were talking about nurses and doctors during COVID? And it goes, oh, they're the front line. And I go, no, housekeeping is. They're the one who touch your garbage. They're the one who gets exposed to COVID every second of their job. Me, I'm in like this in the bathroom. Okay, bye-bye. I don't even want to talk to my patient around that time. Well, I wasn't practicing, but that's how I was, right? So remember that hierarchy. There is none. There's just what? Levels. And whatever the next level. And those of you, right? Like Mr. Nick, he goes, oh, I'm gonna be here. Oh no, you'll see. After a year or two, I want to be here. I want to be here. You're gonna see that theme in I started off in medical assisting because I got kicked out of my house because all I did was smoke way too much weed and play Nintendo. So my mom kicked me out of the house, and since she's medical, she's like, you need to get a medical thing or you're out. So I'm like, shh, care about you, lady. I'm gonna go be with my friends. They're gonna take care of me. That lasted a whole 6 days. Because do you think my friends wanted to put up with somebody who smokes weed all day and plays Nintendo? No, right? So I got into this medical assistant, but I didn't go to a university like this that's accredited. I went to one of those places like welcome to the class the next Tuesday, where they teach you how to do phlebotomy, like with oranges. Yeah, I learned how to do it in orange. So you could be amazed, like, oh no, I'm gonna stick people for real. But again, what's the trope? Then it went to this, then it went to this, then it went to this. Next thing I know, I'm a double major in chemistry. How'd that happen? Next thing I know, I have a master's degree in physical chemistry. Next thing I know, I'm applying to medical school. I'm never gonna get in. Next thing I know, I'm in. Next thing I know, I'm a resident. You see how this works? Oh, by the way, those of you who had me before, you're gonna hear all the stories all over again, so just try to pretend interested. I got left back in the second grade because, of course, English is not my first language. And what happens when you don't pick up English fast enough in the school system? They do what? They leave you back. But the problem was my sister is a genius. She's got like a really high IQ, right? 147, some ridiculous number. And how do we know? When she was in second grade, she beat, and I got left back. So me and her were in the same grade. You know how embarrassing that is? When your younger sister are in the same grade. So my whole entire life, they thought I was like mental or there's something wrong with it, right? So they were thinking that, oh, maybe Nelson's a genius too, but he's just bored. That's why he's not doing well in school. So they tested me. What do you think my IQ came out? 96, which is like dead center average. Just a couple of points shy of being mentally retarded, right? But who's got the MD now? Who's got the dual major? Who had a more academic career? I did, right? But she makes more money, so I'm kind of new. So my thing is, and those of you, again, I apologize if you had me before, you're gonna hear these, my other students in the other side, the nurses, they call them Nelsonisms, right? Because, oh, here comes another Nelsonism. You don't have to be the sharpest tool in the shed. You gotta be the hardest working one. You gotta be that blunt instrument, right? Yes. Well, not everybody. Not everyone. I got yeah. What happened? Okay. You ready? Day is young, sir. Okay, where was I? Madam. I see you.
My name is Melanie. I'm in the medical assistant program. I hope that this is the beginning of a long future because I want to pursue a career in pediatrics.
Good. MD? Are you stupid?
I really will.
We talk later. We'll get you into pediatric nursing. No. I'm gonna MD. Jeez, mom. Miss Melanie, your last name? Oh, no, you. Good on you. But you heard my pediatric story, so if you still want to be a pediatrician after my pediatric stories, good on you. Madam,
Hi, my name is Jasmine. I'm in the Surg Tech program. I've always been like super interested in surgery, but I never wanted to become like a doctor or a nurse or anything. But I do have like aspirations to carry on my career, become like a first assistant and everything, like I get established and all that
I
stuff.
can't tell you how many search techs I had in my RN program. About 20%. 20% of my last class was all search techs. And they were like, I did this for 2 years, did this for 3 years, got bored. I'm telling you, the stuff that I was telling you guys before, even MD, you're gonna get bored. Right? After a while, it becomes routine, and then you're gonna wanna look for the bigger, better thing. Madam, welcome. Again, another MD. You and I will talk. Go to nursing, surgical nursing. Because what happens at the end of the day? You get to go home. Oh, well, surgery gets to go home too. I'm a former internist. We don't go home. We're the ones who do post-op, but you'll learn more about that later. Madam, welcome.
Hi, I'm Michelle Basis, mental assessment program. Just wanna, this is my stepping stone to pursue my nursing.
Yes. Medical assisting. This is what, my 6th or 7th school. Medical assisting is just one of those things, right? And it's beautiful because half of it is clinical and the other half of it is administrative. So when I was a medical assistant, oh, by the way, if you're a medical assistant more than a year, you're doing it wrong. I was a medical assistant for 4 years. That means what? I was 3 years too long. But 2-3 years in, I started getting into medical billing and coding. And after that, after a year of that, I started doing arbitration, meaning you go to court and you get your doctor's money, right? And it's really neat because you can now do it online, you can just do it on the phone. And then you get a cut of whatever you get your doctor. Now, who is the doctor and the hospital in general gonna favor more? Clinical personnel or the person who can get you your money? That's why admin is very, very important. Actually, in the hospital, there's actually 2/3 more administrative personnel than there are clinical personnel. And clinical personnel are considered contractors. That means what? Just like the guy or gal who does your roofing. Replace them. 8 days till Monday. But a good administrator, they'll keep you because why? You're there to do what? Get the insurance, get the money. And those of us who wrangled insurance and had issues, you can find any old doctor, but finding a good healthcare administrator that will help you get your money, worth their weight in gold. My wife left nursing for healthcare admin, right? When she left nursing, do you think anyone ever like, oh, come back? No, but she's now leaving because we're going into business. Well, we are in business. She wants to spend more time in business because, remember the plan I told you guys, those of you who were in my class before? Yes, be a worker bee, but save your money and do what? Investment. Right? I'm gonna leave it at that because you know how far I could go on that. Sir, last one up. Welcome back, sir. So what program? All right, why in heaven's name would you want to do that to yourself? Sweet 1, 2, 3, I see all you delusional people. So when I tell the horrific medical school stories, you guys still want to do it?
Yeah, there's.
How's this? You're surrounded by who? First of all, what's a typical medical student? They've been smart since the day they were born.
Have you?
No, but I'm the exception, right? They're usually generational. All my classmates are 5th and 6th generation physicians. That means, are they poor? No, they all have ridiculous amounts of money. The majority of my classmates paid cash to go to medical school. Any of y'all got $250,000 laying around? Or you guys know a bank that I can? My own daughter got into medical school, but guess what? She's not working, she's a former nurse working in a bank. Why? Because I don't have 250 grand laying around. But she's doing what she wants to do and she has a plan. Oh, by the way, what's her plan? She now sees that what? Nurses, great job, wonderful, but I'm a contractor. I only can do so much for the facility. But as somebody who knows something about finance, how much more value would you have to a medical facility? Right? Just something to think about, especially those of you who are thinking about nursing. There's an administrative part. And admin gets to go home at 6:30. Clinical personnel, do we get to go home at all? No, you'll also be on call. Even though you're a tech, something goes down at 1 a.m., guess what? You're waking up, you're coming in. If your alternate doesn't come in, you stay. It's just how it is, right? And again, if all of these horrible things I'm telling you about don't want to be in it, then you're in the right place. But if you're starting to have doubts, speak to your advisor immediately. Speak to your advisor now, because this is not the only program in the world. Medical is a calling. And if you think you're going to be a millionaire and going to have some money at the end of this, you are sadly mistaken. But will you have a steady job that you will be needed for the rest of your life? Yeah, how many people can say that? That I can go to any state, any country, anywhere, and be that thing. Can't say the same thing for lawyers, can you? Can't say the same thing for cops. Can't say the same thing for chefs, but you can say that for any medical personnel. Remember I told you guys all my family is medical? We're all from the Philippines. Do you think they stayed there? Philippines is what, 80% poverty line. I'm not gonna stay there. That's the first thing my mother did. She got her degree. What happened in '69? Boom, she was on a plane. Because she says, what? I gotta go. Now, was she a millionaire when she came here in the United States? No, but now she's got what? A steady employment for the last 50 years that everyone, that her employment is valuable. So, right? Back to what we were talking about. I spend a lot of time on this because even the class that before, right? The medical terminology class I had before, wasn't the numbers that I quoted before pretty much correct? Right? Not all you hear, isn't it? A bunch of empty seats, right? It's not because they were stupid. It's not because they had financial problems. It's because they were just simply not motivated to be in their seat. Be that person to be always motivated in the seat. By the way, my first class here, we started off the roster with 28. I'm down to my last 6. They have 2 more classes left, and they're down to 6. Even my best and my brightest didn't make it. Who made it? The one who did what? Who hung on for dear life, studied every day, was awake when everyone else was asleep, was here when everyone wasn't, right? They came in during the break for extra help in their pharmacology class. No one else did. And that's why they survived, and the others got to what? Got to say bye-bye, right? And there's a distinct correlation with not scores, not IQ. Why do you think they don't require IQ tests anymore for graduate school and medical school? Because it's bunk, right? What is the better predictor, right? Are you here every day? Now, not that your grades are up or down, or do you have consistent grades? Because if you're all over the place, that means what? You're doing something wrong. And go see your professor, and go see your professor, go see me, see somebody. See somebody early, see somebody often. So let's look at this syllabus. And what will comprise a grade? You can see you have exams and you have quizzes. Now, the exams and quizzes, they're a little bit different for here because this particular class, just like the medical terminology class, was originally an online class, and then they morphed it into like a hybrid class. But I'm on the record here. You must be here, 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. here in this room every Tuesday and Thursday to receive credit. So credit for what? There's this stuff called IRs or independent reviews. They are actually question sets without answers. They're actually blank outlines of my lecture. So I highly advise when you're listening to the lecture, what should you be doing? You should have that thing out and you should be doing what? God bless. You should be starting filling it in as the lecture is happening. Okay? Because what are you doing? Because you are now setting yourself up, because who is the one? Now, I didn't design this class. I can tell you it's the same author. The person who made those review questions on the independent reviews, same person who made the exams. Oh, by the way, I looked at your exams. It seemed like they copied and pasted right from those independent reviews. Those of you who had me before sound familiar? Didn't I do the same exact thing when I made my practice test? Because I'm lazy, right? You hear that? I am lazy. Because I have a lot of other things to do. And also, this stuff is not made to be super complex. There's only so many ways I can ask. What does a red blood cell look like? What does a white blood cell look like? Right? So if you, those of you who haven't had me before, there's something I promote, is called active listening. No matter how much I jump up and down here, you know, I could have sparklers coming out of my ears and doing cartwheels here. You will get bored. You will fall asleep if you have no goal. So now you have a goal. I'm going to try to fill out that independent review as the lecture is going, and also utilize that also for your other classes. Because let's say, for example, your professor doesn't have practice questions, doesn't have independent review questions, you're left to your own devices. So what can you do when you're in lecture? Start figuring out what's important, and that's what you write on your notes, right? Of course, there's going to be assignments, and they're weekly, and I'm going to show you all the due dates in a moment. There'll be a course project. No matter what program you're in, the one thing that healthcare professionals do all day is communicate verbally. And they have to do it what? Standing up there. Because how many times, I'm going to pick on the techs, right? How many times I spoke to a technician? I'm like, hey, what's up with my patient? He's there. There where? Who? Do you work here? And then I get really irritated. Then I speak to a senior tech, and this is what I get. Oh, which patient? Oh, that patient, Dr. Garais? Oh, the 34-year-old female, the one that came in with the anastomosis? Yeah, we did A, B, and C. It goes, Dr. Charles was informed, and the bay is ready for you whenever you need it, sir. And my pager is 235. And I go, okay, thank you. Right? But the newbie standing there like, what? Is patient here? They don't know how to talk. It's one of the major things that we're getting feedback from. I don't even have to go to your advisory boards. Every university has something called an advisory board. We go to the people that hire you, and then we wine and dine them. So you got a good little bit of vino in somebody. What do you get? You get a little bit of the truth, right? And then they start telling you stuff. And the number one they tell us about every university student and every advisory board that I ever sat on, soft skills. Your student doesn't know how to talk. Your student's afraid when they present. They don't know how to stand up in front of a room of colleagues and speak, right? Their communication skills are lacking. That's every university in the free world. So what are we gonna do? We're gonna do a course project. We're gonna pick a pathology, pick a disease. Well, actually, you're gonna pick a disease. I got a new way to do it too. It's like this big wheel of fortune here, or wheel of misfortune, depending on if you don't get a disease but I'm going to show you a process on how to do the PowerPoint. And then, of course, we're going to have time together where we're going to develop it in class, right? Because we're all busy people, right? And we're also going to have the same thing as well. What do you call that? I'm going to allow time in here to do your work. Because how many times you do your homework and you're like, what the fudge is this? Right? Or you look at your notes. How many of you guys had this? You're in the lecture and everything's going in, right? Then you go home and then you're like, you look at the PowerPoint, it's like, this absolutely makes no sense. And then when you go do the homework, you Google it, but you don't find the answers. How can the almighty Google not even have answers? Well, because why? Right? There's a gap. Well, what's the best way to bridge that gap? If we do our work where? Here, together. And by the way, we can help each other out as long as you guys have different files, okay? Don't make it the same exact font, the same exact answers. I know you guys help each other, and actually I promote that. But when you hand in your assignments, hand in your files, make sure they're separate. Make sure you put your own little spin and your own little flair on it, or you're gonna have some problems.
So are we adding to a weekly or is it at the end of the class?
No, the course project is at the end, and I'm gonna talk more about it, and we're gonna talk more about it in week 3,
Okay.
like around like the midterm area. And of course, quizzes. Quizzes can be any time. I like quizzes at 8 o'clock in the morning. I also like quizzes at 12:50, right? Because those are our what? Those are our weakest points of the day, isn't it? 8 a.m. is when you get here, you're like, all right? Especially after trying to make that ridiculous left turn into this place, right? And also, what happens at around 12:30? We're all, what? I'll be honest with you. I'm doing the same thing. I'm thinking about, hey, I'm about to step through the door. But then I had to stop myself. Are we done? Is this our objective? Our time is until 1 p.m. And I'm gonna maximize that time as much as possible, because how much did you pay for? You paid for me 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. Now, we're all adults. If you gotta go, gotta go. Shoot me an email. If you gotta be absent, be absent, because as adults, stuff happens. But keep me in the loop, right? I already had one student that emailed me, because what happens? As adults, life happens. But do know and understand, if you're not physically here, I cannot mark you present, okay? Because it is against the law. I also can't mess with your grades because it is against the law. And you're like, how so, Dr. Riley? Well, many of you are getting Title IV funding. That means the Title IV funding, right? Your loans are based on your attendance and your grades. If you don't have either, you shouldn't get the money. We shouldn't get the money. That's why for-profit education is like, evil. Because we're the only ones who are honestly like, hey, I would like to get money for my student. Which, by the way, the traditional colleges, they get monies from you in horrific ways.
So if we need, can we be on Zoom and you consider it?
No, you have to be physically in the house, and that's why I do this, right? To protect me, to protect you. So if ever they say, oh, she wasn't here, and I go, yep, she was, right? And also, right? And if you're, I don't know about your other programs, but the nursing program has something like you can't be absent 20%, something like that, right? But here's also the thing, like if you're absent all the time, how is your true real life reliability when you're in the ward, when you're in the OR, when you're in the emergency room? If you're already getting absent during school time, what do you think you're gonna be when it's real? I've always had students like, oh, Dr. Garais, it's gonna be different when I get a paycheck. Nope, statistics doesn't say that, right? And I can tell you right now. Oh, about the 8 students who are still surviving in their clinicals, one of them is about to fail, and it's purely not for performance. She's always late, like a minute, 5 minutes. They warned her, if she's late again, goes, they're gonna fail her. And then guess what happened?
Yeah.
Failed her. So this is the second time she took the course. So does she get to stay? And she's smart, and she survived all this time.
Yeah.
Because the standard is the standard. We had a question? Is that Millie? You had a question?
Oh, I was gonna say, I don't know if it's true, my grandmother was just trying to scare me, but,
Trying to scare you. Go ahead.
okay, great. She was like, out of, when you first come out of schools, employers can see your attendance and they'll talk to people that you went to school with about your.
They will, that's one of the first things they ask. Because it can, we can easily bring up your records. And they're like, how reliable is the student? And I say, I used to be a director of career services. And the hospital was like, how reliable is your student? And I go, very. How many times has she been late in the last year? Now I have to be honest, because they asked me a legit question, and I said, 6. How about the other candidate who has B grades? How many times was she late? Never. Because how many times was she late? Never. Who got the job? The B student. The A student didn't get the job. Right? And it's also the same thing, right? Grades mean bunk in the real world, right? How many of you guys ever see new physicians in April, right? All of them are stupid. Don't know anything because they spent 4 years focusing on grades, and now they're in their externship or in their first year residency. Now it's not playing for real anymore. The orders are now real. So how did a guy with highly mediocre grades got into internal medicine? Because I perform. I first one in, last one out. I stay until it's done. I don't care if my alternate is there. If that's your grandma, I'm staying. Like, that's what you staying? Yep. I gotta see. I gotta get her off my critical list. 2, 3 days later, what happened? She's off my critical list, stepped down work, I can go home now. Okay. Right? And then something else happened with another patient, then I get sick. Right? Why? Because if you really, really care about this job, if you really, really care about your patient, because many of you said that, oh, I really care, I want to help. Yeah? At the detriment of your own health? At the detriment of you being around your kids. Those of you who had my medical terminology class, how many times I talked about I wasn't there for my older kids? Guess what? I was a physician. Can't be there. How many things I've missed? Everything. Especially with my eldest. But I cared more about what? My patient and the ethics. Remember, ethics is what? The higher thing you should be doing. And that's why people really look up to us. They don't look up to us. Do you think they look up to you because you look cool in scrubs? No, and please don't wear your scrubs in a mall. You just look silly. You look like a newbie, right? Do you think they look up to us because we're in a higher tax bracket? Fudge, no. My neighbor, who's a plumber, makes twice as much as I did when I was a physician. I'm thinking, man, I should have went into plumbing or HVAC, man. That's lucrative. Look at their house, much bigger than mine. Right? They look up to us because we're there at your family's worst moments, and we call it Tuesday. We soak in all that stress, all that pain, and we do it over and over and over again, all day, every day. Right? So that's why I'm not sugarcoating things. You guys are adults, and I want you guys to be informed because when I was a chemist, and my mother said, "Oh, be a doctor," she actually said to my face, "You'll be a millionaire by the time you're 40." Really? Wow, I don't mind being a millionaire. Oh, she got it backwards. Oh, I would owe $1 million by the time I'm 40? Oh, that's what actually happened. Right? I was in such massive debt by the time I was in my 30s. That's why if I ever hear any of y'all talk about your debt, just shut the fudge up right now. You don't have debt like a doctor has debt, all right? My wife calculated it. My great-grandchildren will pay off my medical loan. That's just my medical school. Graduate school, maybe my grandkids. Maybe, right? But then why do I keep on doing it? Why am I a teacher? Because it's the thing I like, and it's the what? The higher ethical thing. Someone told me, "You're just a teacher." And I'm like, "Yep, just a teacher." And I go, "What do you do?" And he had some highfalutin job that he couldn't explain, but he made a lot of money. Right? We're at a dinner party. Did everyone find that guy interesting? No, because all he talked about was money. I talked about all these really cool things that my students do all day. All these things all these things that that make life more fruitful. But hey, again, if you're into money, there's a business program. There's also banking and finance you can get into. So, if you're looking at this, if you're gonna tank a grade, what grade do you not mess with? Don't mess with your exams. It's 35% of your grade. And the exams, I'll explain later on Thursday. The neat part of the exams in this classroom is that it's online. Okay, so it's kind of like a big homework thing. Now, it's gonna have a lockdown browser, meaning you on that same computer, you can't open up any other websites. But you guys know you can easily get your kid's laptop, right? You can easily cheat. Get another phone, right? Not hard to cheat, is it? It isn't. But remember the higher ethical standard, because if you just focus on grades, if you just focus on getting grades, what's going to happen in the real world when you need this information where it really counts? You won't have it, and they're going to see you for what you are. And again, apologies to my previous medical terminology class. I'm going to talk about Dr. Bimby. Bimby is his nickname. He's a sixth generation surgeon. The thing is, Bimby's been a cheater his entire life. Also a frat boy. So that means what? Fraternities in graduate school, they're not like drinking fraternities. They're people of power and money, and they mess with the system. Meaning they have professors that are in their pocket who give them exam scores and give them exam questions in advance. Stuff like that. Right? Bimby's brother's a surgeon. His father's a surgeon. His mother's an anesthesiologist. See where it goes? So he can't fail, right? So to assure himself not failing, he cheated all throughout medical school. I was in trouble in neuroanatomy. It's one of the harder courses in medical school for first and second year students. And I was in trouble. I'm about to fail it. If you fail one minor or two minor, one major, you get kicked out of medical school no matter what your grades are. You could be passing everything. The very fact that you failed two minor classes or one major, you're out. Guess what? I already failed obstetrics, so now I have what? Another nail in my coffin. I'm about to get kicked out of school. A day before the exam, Bims runs up to me and goes, hey, I got the neuroanatomy final. And he goes, the teaching assistant is a brother. I'm like, and you know what? I was very tempted. But I told myself, if I'm gonna fail this place, I'm gonna fail it on my turn. I'm gonna fail with dignity. Right? And I go, no, sorry. So he got to ace it. He got to move on. My score was so low that there's something called a remedial exam. That means you made a passing score, but they're not impressed. So they give you another day or two with a different exam, and you must score a much higher, like 3 or 4 points higher. They do that to you in medical school to make sure that it wasn't a fluke that you passed the exam. Isn't that messed up? I passed the neuroanatomy final. Passing is 72. I passed it with a 73.1. So I'm like, yeah, but it's lower than the 75. So a day later, professor goes, you're remedial, because you have 48 hours to prepare, and good luck. I'm like, again, he comes up to me. Fast forward. We're at the reunion, 10-year reunion. Hey, where's Bibbs? Oh, you didn't hear? I go, what? He's on charges. And I go, charges on what? Oh, he falsified records and got caught. He wanted to make his survival rates and his patient satisfaction rates look cooler, so he can, move up in his career. And I go, where is he now? He goes, living in his mom's basement. And I'm like, holy crap. And he goes, wife, kids? Oh, they left him. And I'm like, and he goes, all because of cheating. And he goes, yeah, he also has multiple charges of fraud and corruption. And I go, and as a physician, you can get charges to the hospital, ethical charges, but what are the ones that you should really be afraid of when the family starts suing you, right? What killed OJ? It wasn't the criminal charges, right? It was those two civil suits that the Perlman family filed. That's what killed him, right? And last time I heard, Bimby had like 11 of them, 10 or 11. So what does that mean? If you're into a pattern of cheating, you might get away with it in here, but further down the line, they're gonna find who you are. And you're gonna be in a room full of other ethical people. Therefore, what are they gonna do? They're gonna tattle on you. They're gonna turn on you. We cover each other as much as we can, but if it violates the law, which is the lower standard, because we as medical professionals will turn on you, right? Because it's the right thing to do. I turned in my best friend for drug abuse. He too was a surgeon, but I knew he had a little bit of a cocaine problem. So we had an intervention. I told him, we all signed this letter. We have evidence from your nurses that you're high when you're working. And he was like, you wouldn't do this to me. We went to medical school together. And like, yeah, I would. So Monday, what happened? He refused to go into treatment. So what did we do? We filed the letter. He was let go. We were lab mates in medical school. And I lit him up. Why? She's a surgeon. Do you want your kid being operated on this guy? Even though he's good, but he's high. Do you want that? If you want that, then you're not in the right business. But remember, ethical standard. So that's my long spiel. You'll never hear about it ever again regarding cheating. Right? If I catch you, I catch you. If I don't, I don't. Wouldn't care less, because if I don't catch you, the world will, the profession will, and it will do a number on you. All right, so now you know the breakdown. Let's look at, if you click on modules, how am I on time? All right, I'm good. If you click on modules, everything is like in units. So it's 5 weeks, unit 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Actually, let's go to announcements so I can show you. If you go, welcome to BIO104, and there's this link here on the calendar. If you click on that, this gives you all the topics, and I wrote in red all the items that are due. So, for example, if you look at the quizzes, I put them all on a Friday, or they'll be the last thing we do on a Thursday. So if we don't have enough time to finish off on the Thursday, then it'll be a take home due on Friday by midnight. But if we have time, I'll give you time to prepare, and then we can do it here. Remember, quizzes can be assigned when? Anytime, right? And the thing that I do is I don't give you a quiz on something that you didn't have before. So you can't have a quiz today because I didn't lecture anything. But if we start blood lecture and a little bit of heart lecture, what's fair game Thursday morning, 8 a.m.? Quiz, 10 items, quick 10 items, right? And it's based on this one. Or I could do it what? 12:30 p.m. Thursday, right? At the end of the day. Or let's say we didn't have enough time, then or you were absent, then when will it be due? Friday, 12 midnight. Now, homework. There's going to be homework. And again, I'll try to make some time, typically on Thursdays, because on Tuesdays I try to, get the lecture out of the way. Unit 1, homework due, right? Now, when are all the homeworks due? Saturday by midnight. Now, do you see what I'm doing? I'm spreading everything out so that you can do what? Try not to do everything all in one day. Do what? Everything every day. Because why? Repetition breeds what? Familiarity. So if you do things every day, and you are in the kind of course that you have to study every day, you just have to, right? Because this stuff, you're not getting, like I said, ace my class, I really don't care. It's when you go out there, you're a tech in the OR for my kid, you better know what you're doing. And anatomy and physiology is the basis of pathology. And pathology is, those who had my class, Logi, study of disease. So you got to know what normal looks like to know what abnormal or ab, what the prefix ab means. You mean this? Ab means what? Abnormal. Al pertaining to what? Hey, you know what's funny? If I asked you this week 5, when I was teaching a med term, everybody in the room was like, oh, well, I got it. And it's funny how a couple of weeks go by, right? And it's now out of your head, right? So what's abduction? What do I do? What am I doing in my arms? Round, up, down. Ab is what? Away. So abnormal is away from the what? What's the norm, the rule? The rule is my temperature should be what? 98.6. If it's much higher than that, then it's what? Abnormal or away from the rule. So that's what this anatomy and physiology will teach you. Let me pick somebody since you guys are a quiet group. My mother told me to pick Miss Ashley. Break down the word anatomy for me. Miss Ashley, where are you at? Anatomy, break it down for me. You had a good grade in my class, I remember that. So anatomy, how's this? I'll even help you. Anatomy, break it down. If it was week 5, if we went back in time, she would have went. Tomy means do what? What am I doing? Nope, that's scopy. Tomy means what? Say it. Cut. Anna means what? If I'm performing analysis, what am I breaking down the problem into? Into its parts. So, anatomy, you got to know your parts in this room. Oh, in every room, actually. And what's physiology? Logi, study of. Say it.
Study of the human body.
Yeah, but what specifically about the human body? How it works. So, if you look at your IRs, your review, it's either going to ask you, what's this part and what does it do normally, right? And then, of course, when you guys do your presentations, you're going to talk about how normal got all fudged up, right? And now, because how many times a tech had to explain something to my patient? How many times? Almost all the time, because do I have time to speak to my patient? No, I do not. I have 68 patients, 4 criticals, in 3 different labs in 2 different buildings. I do not have time, right? That's why doctors are such jerks, because what? I don't have time to talk to you. I don't want to talk to you. You're not critical, you're not dying, and my career isn't in jeopardy, so I got to move on to the next one. So who has to do the bedside manner? All of you, all of the nurses. So Fridays are quizzes if we don't have them on Thursdays, right? Or heck, the more quizzes, the merrier. How about if I put one on Thursday, one on Friday? One at home, one here. The more quizzes you have, the more practice you get for what? Exams. Remember exams, 35%? And that's the thing on what? If you look at them, they're all on Sunday by 12 noon. Do not, not 12 noon, 12 midnight. Do not be that person at 11:50 p.m. on Sunday. Go, I gotta go do this. Remember, there's a reason why I have a calendar out. Budget your time. Those of you, if you've got Outlook or something similar to that, put that on your phone. Also budget your leisure. The one thing for all the new people, all the old people, you've ever heard this a million times. There's a reason why I'm not a physician anymore. I fought 16 years to get to where I was. And I let it all go in less than 2 years. Why? I was so stressed out. I never balanced my life. It was either my career or nothing. So what did I get out of it? Nothing, right? When I finally got out, was my wife around? No. Were my kids around? No. Family? No. Alone. Because did I include them for 4 years medical school, externship, 4 or 5, and then 2 years residency, 7 years. It was just me, right? So of course you keep on doing that. You don't budget your leisure. What's going to happen? You're going to get burned out. 30% of nurses in the DMV quit within 5 years. And that is pre-COVID numbers. You can only imagine now with COVID and RSV and all these other problems. Oh, by the way, it's all the same BS. During my time, it was what? It was the crack epidemic and it was AIDS. We were just as scared with AIDS. Imagine you think, because we thought that AIDS, like you could get it by kissing somebody. Medical professionals thought if the saliva was enough to transfer bodily fluids so you can get HIV. Imagine how scary it is if your patient just coughed in your face and no one required anyone to do masks. And then they always thought, what? It goes, it's the gay community spreading it. Again, all this BS, all these lies, just like we had in the last couple of years. It's nothing new, and there's gonna be another set of them when you guys get to practice. But what do we do? What we do ethically? We're there all day, every day. Now, these days, Monday, Wednesday, they're blank. They should be days you're doing what? Studying, getting ready, preparing. Because what you're really preparing for is not this class, is your professional life. Now, on February 7th, we have assigned course presentations. And if you look, we're gonna look on your assignments. I already have the parameters of the course presentation. And pretty much, we're gonna assign diseases at random. You get arthritis, you get diabetes, and they'll be totally random. And I have a random number generator, like it's a dice thing that throws dice, and another one that I put all your names connected to diseases, and it goes round and round like, you know, Wheel of Fortune or Wheel of Misfortune, whichever one you choose. And again, right here, breakdown. I put it back here in the calendar. So print out this calendar. Put it on your wherever you study. Which, by the way, do you study in your bedroom? Do you study in your living room? All right. Well, if you study all over the place, that's also not good. All right. You study in a place that looks, acts, and feels like this room, because it's called conditional learning. Don't study in your bedroom, and don't study in your living room, because what do you associate your bedroom and your living room with? Sleep, happy time. Remember when we were kids, when sleep was like the worst thing in the world? Sleep is like my best friend. If someone asked me, oh, what'd you do on holidays? Sleep, like 20 hours a day. It was really cool. For 6 days straight, I slept like 20 hours a day. I woke up, ate some stuff, woke up, had some Coke, right? Coca-Cola, right? And then, boom, out. Did that for like 6 days straight. It was the best Christmas present my family ever gave me. I woke up, there was madness. I went back in the basement, closed the door, Rip Van Winkle, coma myself out because I was sick, and I just NyQuil. And you all ever take NyQuil? You take that wherever you're standing. That's where you're gonna be at, right? So make sure you take it in your bedroom or near wherever you're gonna be going to sleep. Because I made the mistake, like, oh, let me answer a couple of emails. Next thing I know, 8 hours later, I woke up all twisted in a lawn chair in my backyard, going, oh, what happened? What happened to all my time? Well, that's drugs for you. So, with that being said, right? Always look at your announcements. Always look at your emails. Remember, constant communication is key. I have both. This is a business phone because those of you already know that I'm also an entrepreneur. So every time this thing buzzes, that means for me it's money. But the other aspect of it, my Outlook is on here. So every time it buzzes, it's a student. I answer everything within 24 hours. And if those of you who've had me before know, I answer a lot quicker than that. And you know, I'm up Thursday, Friday, Saturday nights because I own a production company. So I'm out late Thursday, Friday, Saturday nights. And especially if, well, and it's not the wedding season now, but especially during the wedding season, I'm up all day Sunday as well, right? Because it's a business. And it's, you know, those of you who are entrepreneurs and business people, you know the hustle, right? You're constantly trying to drum up new business. So please communicate with me. So when you're home and your notes make no sense, get on Teams, ask me a question, and it'll go blink, blink, blink. Teams is also on my phone. And then, you know, while I'm there, wherever I may be at an event or whatever, I'll answer you. How many times are like, what are you doing? Looking up a song? No, I'm answering a student's question about pathology. Hold up. Now, which also leads me to this part. I no longer have a license to practice medicine. And even when I did, it was in the state of New York, right? So if you're gonna ask me a question about, well, this part of my back, no. Ask me a hypothetical question, or better yet, a question related to the class. How many, the other class was, I'm not diagnosing migraines. Dr. Garais, what you said was real. I brought that up with my doctor. Hey, I don't know your case. You just asked me some questions. Yeah, but no, based on those questions, I now have a second opinion. No, you don't have a second opinion. I can only answer what? Academically, right? So if it's you, you're like, oh, 25-year-old female. Okay, as long as you don't mention your name, okay? So I only will answer academic questions, and better yet, just questions about tests and about things. But try to look up the answer first. What's next? So let's look at my agenda. I went to my syllabus. I went to my introduction. So let us take a 10-minute breather, and then I'm going to go through my lecture, and I'm also going to show you where you get your I call them IRs. What are the independent review stuff? Because it's a beautiful outline on what you need to know for the quizzes and the exams. And like I said, hint, hint, the person who wrote this thing, they lifted their questions from that independent review, like almost just plucked them out like that. All right, so I'm gonna be good. Those of you who had me before, look what I'm gonna do. I'm actually gonna do a timer.
No.
Because that's how bad I am. And I promise I'll what do you call that? I'll keep on track today. All right, so let's take a quick 10 and then we'll start the lecture proper. All righty? And let me turn off the recording and then turn it back on.